Hi everyone, I am Chintala Sridhar, Assistant Professor of Physics, ABV Government Degree College, Janagam. So, in the present video lecture, I am going to discuss about the kinetic theory of gases. So, this kinetic theory of gases will come under the BSc second semester, the paper titled as Thermal Physics, and in the first unit, and the name of the unit is the kinetic theory of gases. So in this video lecture I am going to discuss about the assumptions of kinetic theory of gases and kinetic interpretation of temperature, mean free path, average velocity, RMS velocity, and most probable velocity. So these are the topics which I am going to discuss in the video lecture. So, just before going into the details of kinetic theory of gases, just we brief into the different states of matter. As a particle weave, so we are looking into the states of matter. There are three states of matter. One is a solid state, the second one is the liquid state, and the third one is the gaseous state. So how do we differentiate these states from one another? So when you consider a solid, the solid is a closely packed in a regular pattern and occupy least space. Whereas liquid is concerned, it is somewhat loosely packed than solid. The particles or the molecules are slightly further apart than in solid. And whereas if you consider a gas molecules or a gas one, a gas a matter of state of gaseous state of matter, the molecules are very apart and occupy any available space. And in the case of solids, they vibrate about a fixed positions, whereas in the case of liquids, particles slide past one another and the gaseous particles move randomly at a high speeds. And the solid held by very strong attractive forces, and in the case of liquid, these forces are attractive between the particles, and these are the forces due to intermolecular forces. And in the case of gases, weak forces of attraction between the particles. So these are the three states of matters. We classify widely the matter into three states. And then the motion of particles. So when you consider the motion of particles, as we already know, the molecules in a gas are widely spaced apart, so that there is a free space for the gas molecules to move around. So when you consider a gas, the all the molecules are moving with possible velocities from 0 to infinity, and they are moving randomly from one place to another place. So if a gas is cooled down, its molecules have less energy and move more slowly, and if it is heated up, then they have more energy and move faster. So the molecules, the considering the substance or the matter as molecules is called the kinetic theory. So when a gas is cooled, it condenses into a liquid, and when the liquid is cooled down, then eventually the freezing into a solid, it freezes into a solid. And again, if we heat the solid, heating of a solid causes it to melt and further liquid to evaporate into gaseous state. So these are the different states of matter, and these are the different phases of matter. And then the concept of ideal gas. The kinetic theory of gases, what we are going to discuss, we apply to the ideal gas only. So the gas at low temperature, so low pressure and high temperature, the relation between pressure, volume and temperature is given by PV is equals to RT, and this is called the ideal gas equation, where R is the universal gas constant, and if N is the number of molecules in a sample, then R is equals to N into Kb, where Kb is the Boltzmann constant and R is the universal gas constant, which is same for all the gases. So the gas which is obeying this equation is known as the ideal gas. So the ideal gas, it obeys this ideal gas at low pressures and high temperatures. So this is the concept of ideal gas, and we apply the kinetic theory of gases to the ideal gas equation or the ideal gas case. And when you want to discuss about the kinetic theory of gases, we have to assume the gas as a particular properties, obeying particular properties, and they are called the assumptions of kinetic theory of gases. And these are the assumptions about the nature of the gas and the motion of the molecules and etc. So first, if we consider the nature of gas molecules, a gas consists of large number of tiny particles called molecules, and the molecules are rigid and perfectly elastic sphere of very small diameters. The molecules are having a rigid shape and they are perfectly elastic, and the shape of the molecule, what we assume is the spherical shape, and all the molecules of the same gas are identical in shape, size and mass. So when you consider a single gas, all the gas molecules are identical in shape, identical in size and identical in mass. So the actual mass occupied by a gas molecules is very small as compared to the volume occupied by the gas. So when the volume occupied by the gas is compared to the volume occupied by the molecules, the actual volume occupied by the gas molecules is very small when compared to the volume occupied by the gas. And this is about the random motion of gas molecules. So gas molecules are in constant motion in random directions. That is, they are moving with all possible velocities in all possible directions. And the state is called the molecular chaos. So due to their random motion, the molecules collide with each other and also with the walls of the container. So as the molecules of the gas are moving here and there may be a chance of colliding with one another, and there may be a chance of colliding with the walls of the container. And we are considering the collisions of those molecules with the container and among themselves are perfectly elastic. That means there is no losses of kinetic energy during the collisions. So the collisions between the molecules as well as the walls of the container are elastic in nature. And between two successive collisions, a molecule travels in a straight line with constant velocity. And this is called a free path. That means in between the two collisions, there is no force which is acting on the molecule to travel from one collision, between one collision to another collision. And that path, we are calling it as the free path. And the time taken for the collision is very small as compared to the time required to cover free path between two successive collisions. So as you consider the collision between the molecules, the time of contact between the two molecules will be very much small than the time traveled from one collision to the another collision. That means the time traveled by the molecule in free path is much more large than the time of intact between two molecules. And the average kinetic energy of the molecules is proportional to the temperature of the gas in kelvins. So any two gases at the same temperature will have the same average kinetic energy. So that means if the gas is heated up, that means the molecules are having higher energy. So that means their kinetic energy is more. So the kinetic energy is more means they are at a higher temperature. If they are at a higher temperature, they will be having higher kinetic energy. That means the kinetic energy of a gas is directly proportional to the temperature. And any two gases, if we consider, if they are at same temperature, they will be having the same kinetic energy. And a gas is composed of molecules that are separated from each other by distances far greater than their own dimensions. So when you consider the dimension of the gas molecule, the separation between the molecules is very much greater than their dimensions. That is the reason why we are assuming that the volume occupied by the gas is very much greater than the actual volume occupied by the molecules. And the molecules can be considered to be point masses, that is, they possess a mass but have negligible volume. And gas molecules exert neither attractive or repulsive forces on one another, and each gas molecule behaves as if it were alone in the container. So these are the assumptions of the kinetic theory of gases. So with these assumptions, we apply this kinetic theory to the ideal gas and to find the energies and the velocity distribution of ideal gas. And before applying the kinetic theory of gases to ideal gas, so let us discuss about the kinetic interpretation of temperature and as well as the mean free path. And in the next video lecture, we discuss the application of kinetic theory of gas to an ideal gas to find the energy states of an ideal gas. So then the kinetic interpretation of temperature. So according to kinetic theory of gases, the pressure is described as the rate of change of momentum per unit surface area of the walls. And there is a large derivation for this expression for the pressure. So we are taking this directly from that derivation, that pressure P is given by 1 by 3 into mn v square by capital V, where small m is the mass of the each gas molecule and n is the number of molecules per unit volume, and V is the volume of the container, and this V bar square or the V bar square is called as the mean square velocity of the molecules. So this is we took the final result from the pressure of a ideal gas, that is P is equal to 1 by 3 into Mn by V into V bar square. And on the other hand, the average kinetic energy of a group of gas molecules depend only on the temperature of the gas. And we are rearranging this equation 1 to bringing this V to this side. So PV is equal to 1 by 3 Mn V bar square. And we are using the relation called ideal gas. So from the ideal gas equation, we may write PV is equals to RT. And if you replace PV by RT, this RT is equals to 1 by 3, and Mn, that is mass of the each gas molecule, and N is the number of gas molecules. So that mass is the total mass of the gas. So we can replace Mn by capital M and PV by RT. So capital RT is equal to 1 by 3 M V bar square. And we are dividing the whole equation by capital N. So RT by N is equals to 1 by 3 M by N V bar square. And this R by N is nothing but K, that is KB, the Boltzmann constant. So KT is equals to 1 by 3 M by N into V bar square, and M by N we can write as the small m. So this is 3 by 2 kT is equals to half m V bar square, and this is nothing but the kinetic energy of the gas. So the average kinetic, since we are using this bar, so this is the average kinetic energy of the gas, and where K is the Boltzmann constant, which is given by 1.38 into 10 to the power of minus 23 joule mole inverse Kelvin inverse, and R is the universal gas constant, which is equals to 8.314 into joule mole inverse Kelvin inverse. So from this equation 2, we can conclude that the average kinetic energy of the gas is directly proportional to the absolute temperature. And this is 3 by 2 kT from the law of equipartition of energy. Each degree of freedom contributes 1 by 2 kT to the total energy. So as the gas is having 3 dimensions, so 3 degrees of freedom. So 3 by 2 kT is the total energy of the gas. So this is from the law of equipartition of energy, and this is equal to the average kinetic energy. So from equation 2, we can say that the mean kinetic energy per molecule in a given mass of a gas is proportional to the absolute temperature T of the gas. That is, T is directly proportional to mean kinetic energy. That means if T is equals to 0, Ke is equals to 0. That means the translational velocity tends to 0 at absolute 0. And the energy possessed by the molecules at absolute 0 is called the 0 point energy, as it was observed that even at absolute 0, the molecules have at least a small momentum. So this is called the 0 point energy. That is, the energy possessed by the gas molecules at absolute 0 is called the 0 point energy or end point energy. So this is how we can interpret the temperature as a measure of the kinetic energy of the gas. So this is called the kinetic interpretation of temperature. And then we are moving to the concept called mean free path. So as we already know, the gas molecules in a gas are at constant random motion in all directions with all possible velocities. So as they are moving randomly in the container of the volume of the container, so there may be a chance of colliding with each other or collision with the walls of the container. So between two successive collisions, a molecule travels in a straight line with constant velocity as shown in figure, and the distance traveled by the molecules between the two successive collisions is called free path. And the average distance traveled by a gas molecules between two successive collisions is known as the mean free path. The distance traveled by the molecule between two successive collisions and the average distance is called the mean free path. So when a molecule of finite size moves in a gas, it collides with other molecules as well as the collides with the walls of the container. So as a result, its velocity and direction of motion frequently changes and resulting into zigzag path as shown in figure, and it is called the Brownian motion. So it is the molecule is moving from here to here without any collision, and again it moves from here to this place and again having a collision, and it moves from here to here and here to here and here to here. And as the gas consists of a number of molecules, it may not collide with all the molecules, but it may collide with one of the molecules. So during collision between from one molecule to another molecule, it may travel with the without any collision from one molecule to another molecule, and that means it is traveling freely from one collision to the another collision. So between the two collisions, it is moving freely, and that path we are calling it as the free path, and the average distance traveled is called the mean free path. So if lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3 and so on and so forth up to lambda n are the consecutive free paths traversed in a time t, and n is the total number of collisions, then lambda is defined as the lambda 1 plus lambda 2 plus lambda 3 and so on and so forth up to lambda n by capital N is equals to the total distance traveled by number of collisions. So this gives the mean free path. So if v bar is the speed of a molecule, then we can write the lambda as v bar into t by n, where v bar into t gives the average distance traveled. And if tau 1, tau 2, tau 3, and so on and so forth, tau n are the times elapsed between the two successive collisions, their mean value taken over a large number of collisions gives the mean free time between two successive collisions. So the derivation for the mean free path, we follow the procedure. The procedure we follow is like this. So in order to derive the equation, we have to take some assumptions that the gas molecules are treated as spheres of diameter sigma, and let n be the number of molecules per unit volume. This is the first assumption, and this is the second assumption. And the third one is only one molecule under consideration is in motion while all other molecules are at rest. So while we considering the molecule, while we observing one molecule, we are assuming that all the molecules which are at rest other than the molecule which is under consideration. And this molecule will collide with only those molecules whose center lie within a distance equal to sigma. So we are considering the molecules as, we are treating the molecules of the gas as the spheres of diameter sigma, and any molecule which come closer within the diameter of the molecule can only collide with the molecule. The other molecules will not collide with the molecule under consideration. So a collision between two molecules occurs when the centers of the two molecules are within a distance sigma from each other. So that means if the diameter of the sphere, which is equals to the distance between the two centers, then only the collision takes place. And as shown in figure, the molecule will collide with all those molecules whose center lie within a distance sigma from its center. So this is what we are discussing. So the diameter of the sphere, the molecule, is sigma, and if the distance between the two centers of the molecules is equal to sigma, then only there is a chance of colliding, or there is a chance of collision between the two molecules. And all the molecules within the distance of sigma, that is within the diameter of sigma, there may be a chance of collision. So if you consider this molecule, so the molecule which is beside this and which is at a distance of sigma will also collide with this molecule. So that means we have this one, this one, this one. So this is the molecule under consideration, and this will be colliding with this, and this will be colliding with this. And all the molecules which are falling in the diameter of sigma and which is having a radius which is in a cylinder of radius sigma and length v. So let v be the average velocity of the gas under consideration with which it moves through an assembly of stationary molecules. So in 1 second, it will collide with all the molecules whose center lie within a cylinder of radius sigma and length v as shown in figure. So all the molecules which comes inside the volume of the cylinder will collide with this molecule. So the volume of the cylinder is pi r square, so that is pi r square L, and from that formula we can write that pi sigma square V. And the number of molecules in this volume are pi sigma square V into L n, since n is the number of molecules per unit volume. And the mean free path is defined as the total distance traveled by a molecule in 1 second and total number of collisions per second. So lambda is equals to V by pi sigma square V n, that is, this is the total distance traveled by molecule in 1 second. So generally the distance is calculated as velocity into time, and we are considering the distance traveled in 1 second, so v into 1, so that is the distance traveled in 1 second is v, and the molecules, number of collisions per second, since these are the number of molecules uh, in the given cylindrical volume. So these are the number of collisions with the molecule under consideration. So V by pi sigma square Vn, so V gets cancelled. This is 1 by pi sigma square N. So this gives the expression for the mean free path. And this law is derived by considering that a molecule will collide with all other stationary molecules, but this is not observed in practice. That is, the molecules are in continuous random motion. So while we are deriving the mean free path equation, we assumed that only the molecule which is under consideration is in motion and all the molecules in the gas are at rest. But in practice, it is not the case, since the molecules are in continuous random motion. And Maxwell considered the most general case and added a small correction to the above expression for the mean free path. And lambda is given as 1 by under root pi sigma square En. So this is the expression for mean free path. And if m is the mass of the molecules and rho is equals to mn is the density of the gas, so we can replace that small n by rho by m, and we are having that n in the denominator, so this will become m by under root 2 pi sigma square rho. So that is the mean free path is inversely proportional to the density of the gas. That means if the gas is denser, the mean free path is lesser. So, but the density is directly proportional to the pressure and inversely proportional to the absolute temperature. We can replace that density by pressure. That is, the pressure is given by rho kT by m. So we can substitute the value of rho in this equation. We get lambda is equals to kT by root 2 into pi sigma square into P. So from this expression, we can say that the mean free path is directly proportional to the absolute temperature and inversely proportional to the pressure of the gas and inversely proportional to the squares of the diameter of the molecules. So the mean free path is proportional to the absolute temperature, inversely proportional to pressure, and inversely proportional to the squares of the diameter of the molecules. So that means as the size of the molecules more, the mean free path is less. If the size of the molecules is less, mean free path will be larger. That is, the mean free path is inversely proportional to the size of the molecules. So this is about the mean free path, and then the average velocity. So since the gas is consisting of number of molecules, so all the molecules will be in continuous random motion with all possible velocities. That means the velocity is ranging from 0 to infinity. So when you consider the gas, so we have to take the velocity averaging over all the molecules. So that means the average velocity of the molecules in a gas is defined as the mean of the velocities possessed by all the molecules. That means V bar is equals to V1 plus V2 plus V3 and so on and so forth up to Vn by small n, where V1, V2, Vn are the individual velocities and n is the total number of molecules. And we can show that the average velocity is equals to under root 8 kT by pi m, and this is the derivation we derive from the Maxwell velocity distribution law. So we are taking the final result of that. So average velocity V bar is equals to 1.596 into under root kT by m. So this is the average velocity. Then the root mean square velocity. So the RMS velocity is defined as the square root of the average velocity squared of the molecules in a gas. It is given by VRMS is equals to under root V bar square. So we are taking the average of squares and taking the root. So it is 1 by n into v1 square plus v2 square up to so on and so forth vn square under root. And we can show that the RMS velocity will be equal to under root 3 RT by m, and we can write this as the 3 KT by m, and this will be equal to 1.732 under root KT by m. So from the kinetic interpretation of temperature, we can say that the average kinetic energy will be equal to 3 by 2 KT. So this is equals to the kinetic energy. From this we can write the V square value as 3 KT by m under root, and this will be equal to 3 RT by capital M. So m is the molecular mass and capital M is the molar mass. So this is the RMS velocity. And then the most probable velocity. So what do you mean by most probable velocity is, so we assume that the gas molecules are in continuous random motion and the velocities of the molecules are ranging from 0 to infinity, and they are moving in all possible directions. So although the velocity is possible from 0 to infinity, so there is a certain value of velocity which is most probable, and the value of which is called as the most probable velocity. So the velocity of the gas molecule keeps on changing because of the frequent collisions between the gas molecules. However, a part of the gas molecules will have the same velocity. So thus the velocity in which the largest number of gas molecules in a given group of gas molecules likely to move at a given temperature is called most probable velocity, and we can show that the most probable velocity value is equals to under root 2 KT by em, and this will be equal to 1.414 into under root KT by em, and this is the most probable velocity. So when you consider the average velocity, this is almost equals to 1.5, and whereas the root mean square velocity is about 1.7, and when you consider the most probable velocity, it is equals to 1.4 of KT by m under root. So that means if you want to write the total three velocities at a time, so this V bar is equals to 1.596 into under root KT by m, and VRMS is equals to 1.732 into under root KT by m, and Vp, that is the most probable velocity, is 1.414 into under root KT by em. So if you take the ratio of the average velocities with the RMS velocity and the most probable velocity with the RMS velocity, we have these expressions. So V bar is equals to 0.921 of VRMS, and Vp is equals to 0.817 of VRMS. So of all the velocities, VRMS is having the highest value. So the most probable velocity is the least value. So this is the relation between the average velocity and RMS velocity and most probable velocity. And this is about the kinetic theory of gases, assumptions, mean free path, kinetic interpretation of temperature, and different kinds of velocities. And in the next video lecture, we apply the kinetic theory of gases to the ideal gas to derive the Maxwell velocity, Maxwell-Boltzmann velocity distribution law. So thank you for your patient listening. Thank you very much.